8th Anniversary Part 1 tier list. I've got 2 tier lists in this video and I've got a lot to say about both of them, and unlike my other tier list videos, I'm actually going to show you each tier list almost instantly, but one at a time. So I hope you can be open-minded and listen to everything I've got to say. Feel free to leave your own opinion in the comment section below. Your opinion is as valid as mine. Just some information from my tier lists. Just assume every single Legends Limited is at 9 stars, every single Legend and Ultra is at 10 stars, and every Sparking is at 14 because they're Sparkings, you can Z-power them easily. But I've got a lot to say, so let's just get into this. Right, so this tier list here, you can see it, consume it, take a moment to actually digest it and listen to what I have to say. So in this case, you can see the top 5 here. They're all in a number 1 position, quote unquote, implied by the interchangeable, meaning that if Gogeta is your number 1, I'm okay with that. If Bardock's your number 1, I'm okay with that. If Vegito's your number 1, I'm okay with that. If Broly's your number 1, I'm okay with that. And if Rosé's your number 1, I am okay with that. Now, I think these 5 definitely represent the top of Dragon Ball Legends right now, and in every team you will run, it will most likely have 3 of these 5, with a few exceptions outside of the top 10, such as Nappa, Fusion 13, and then we get down to more scrap picks, I would say. So even Ultra Trunks, Ultra Buhan, Janemba is very good right now on the boost, and then some honorable mentions which won't be making my top 10, but they are units that people do use because they don't have the guys above, or they just have a preference, their investment, etc, etc. Cool. The main thing you probably want to know about is the top 5 and how I've come to the conclusion that these 5 are joint at number 1, and there's definitely not an objective number 1, but I do think there can be. But in this case, this represents what PvP looks like right now. So hear me out with this. These guys here, they all don't do similar damage. That is not what I'm saying. But in the same way, they also all don't have the same defensive capabilities. And I feel like every character does a good amount if you invest in them or prioritize them on your team. Just assume the star level is 10 or 9 stars, 10 stars, because they're all Legends and Ultras anyways in the top 5. Cool. So in this case, let's just say Gogeta is your favorite, right? Gogeta is your pick to be the number 1 unit in Dragon Ball Legends. I'm sure, maybe not in all cases, but Rosé is probably the biggest threat when you are using Gogeta, for obvious reasons. Rosé is also an offensive unit and he's type advantage over Gogeta, which allows him to do the most damage in most cases, where the rest of the other characters will be neutral. Let's go to Rosé now. If he is your number 1 pick of who's the best right now, you will most likely be afraid of fighting Broly. Sure, you can go type neutral with the ultimate and whatnot, but you're not always going to have that. It's a very niche scenario that's not going to happen consistently throughout a game. It can happen a couple times throughout the game, but not consistently. You're not doing that every other combo. Do you get what I'm saying? So when Broly's in your face, he's the most difficult one to deal with, and especially when Broly's in the full power mode, the green hair, he is a menace. Of someone's ringing on my door. He is a menace defensively, so Rosé is gonna have the most struggle breaking through, which in a sense puts Broly above Rosé. Now let's go to Broly. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been using Legend Super Vegito, him being the first legend unit ever. A lot of people summon for him. He's very valuable in general, long combos, whatever. We know what he does. When you're using Broly, when this purple's in your face, you can get decimated very easily. Ultimate can literally break through once the uncancelable buff happens one time, and just general strike damage, blast damage, the legend action bringing them from high to low. Vegito can absolutely nuke this guy. It depends on the situation. And then we go to Vegito. In the same way, you will be worried about Bardock, not as much offensively, and I would say that definitely at the start of the game, but if one person on Bardock's team dies, he becomes an absolute powerhouse, easily overpowering a lot of these guys in the top 5, and in 1v3, he is easily 1v2, 1v1, he is easily the strongest on this top row, at least in my opinion. That last stand Bardock is crazy. So naturally, Vegito guys will have to worry about Bardock, also with the fact that nobody can break through Bardock's indestructible. But then we go one more step, and Gogeta's absolutely decimating Bardock, but then there's also the issue of his indestructible, but the damage numbers are going to be more exceptional because of type advantage. If you haven't picked up on what I've been doing this whole time, I'm essentially saying all of the units are top tier characters, and if you have any of these characters and you gave them 2 Zenkai buffs as a priority, like I said, you're prioritizing them, they can win you games just as easily as the other, which makes them all similar levels. But depending on your matchup, like I said, if you're running Gogeta, Rosé's type advantage, you're going to deal with issues. use. You're running Rose, you're gonna have to do with Broly. You're running Broly, you're gonna have to do with Vegito, etc, etc. There's a perfect color wheel of everybody countering each other. This argument I've presented in PvP, I haven't had one person on any media platform counter it. It makes absolute sense, and the pairs that you run make this top 5 even more exceptional. So let me talk about it. Bardock and Broly. This team is genuinely unkillable. Sure, you have to worry about Gogeta for Bardock, but you have to worry about Broly with Vegito, right? But ultimately, if they're running Rose, you catch that dub. If they're running Vegito, you're also protected there. And then you also have a third, which I haven't spoken about, which will balance out the game anyways. Broly's gonna be damn near unkillable with his transformations, breaking off combos anyways, and he's got good tanking. And Bardock, if his indestructible is up, it's just that extra layer of protection that literally keeps you safe. I've even seen in some cases, in my experience, he's tanked Gogeta's active gauge. Literally, you'd expect him to just get nuked and then the whole allies are just down to 1 HP, but that does not happen all the time. And again, everybody's gonna have their scenario where they can nuke the other person. Bardock, his indestructible keeps him up, but a last stand, he's gonna be nuking everybody here. Gogeta, his active gauge can nuke people, and then he's gonna get rid of their endurance early, but he also does exceptional damage, and he can build up his gauge. Vegito, he's doing the legend action into blue cards, 2 ultimate. When his gauge is up, he is exceptional ghost type neutral with his ult. Broly, he's doing offensive damage when he's on the full power mode. Rose, ultimates, buff cancel, healing. Broly's healing as well. Like there's all scenarios for all of them in which you can actually be at the top of PvP. And the only argument I've heard against this opinion that I have, and a lot of people agreed with me in stream, I had some people I was really trying to have the conversation like, oh, if you use Rose, are you scared of Broly? Most guys said yes. If you use Broly, are you scared of Vegito? Most guys said yes. If you use Vegito, are you scared of Bardock? Most guys said yes. If you use Gogeta, are you scared of Rose? Most guys said yes. It was literally a full circle of everybody being scared of everybody, and that means depending on how you choose to play ranked PvP, you are able to thrive. And I think overall this makes this meta exceptional. We've wanted a balanced meta for so long, and I think if you like any of these characters and you have just 2 of them, you can survive in PvP. And I think at this point you should have at least 2 of them because they have been the most recent characters back to back to back. This is a great job by the Dragon Ball Legend developers. Subpar, I would argue, Broly is really annoying because of the way people are using him. They're using him to backfloat, you know, stay at the back of the map and not do anything. And I think when people play like that, it's infuriating. But having one unit like that when there's also a unit that can counter him, aka Vegito, and there's other ways you can get around everybody as well, I think it's fine. You know, you can get rid of Broly because he's not always in that stage where he gets to transform. You could also force him to transform 2 times and then just deal with him beyond from there. But ultimately, you know, he's one flaw of all of these guys. So it's like everybody's OP in a sense, so it's balanced. And I think that's fine. Let me know what you guys think about this top 5. You're probably not happy because there's not one conclusive number 1. So in the next tier list, the point of this was to give my personal experience. If I had to forcefully choose one, who would I take, etc. But I think any of these guys, if you believed any of these guys are number 1, I am not arguing with you. I just think that's fine. It's not ridiculous. I could see an argument for it. Some people will be less prone for certain people, and especially because of the newer units, whatever, cool. But I think ultimately, if you put the Zenkai buffs, you're going to be running 2 to any of these guys. 2 for Rose, he's nuking people with the ultimate. 2 for Broly, he's unkillable and doing damage in the full power mode. 2 for Vegito, he's absolutely wrecking people with long combos. 2 for Bardock, he becomes more unkillable beyond just his indestructible. And 2 for Gogeta, he's never gonna stop doing damage. Everybody can benefit here, so that's my top 5. But I do still have to address these guys. So in general, most of them just pair with the guys that are in the top 5 depending on who you want to use. So some people like using Nappa and Vegeta as a defensive option over Vegito, and I can completely understand that. Similar to how I mentioned the Broly and Bardock team, right? You could run Vegito if you wanted to make a defensive team instead of an offensive team, right? Vegito's here that does decent defenses, but offenses are his main thing, which is why he makes the top 5 over Nappa and Vegeta. But some of you guys might even have a different opinion, but I don't personally agree with that. Fusion 13, especially because he's on the Broly banner, a lot of people have been using him with Broly and Rose on a powerful opponent team. That makes sense. He also seals blast darts and he's blue, so he's an amazing counter for Gogeta Blue, the Ultra. Gogeta Blue, he is a range type unit, so he's gonna have blast cards, and if Fusion 13 comes in and he seals those cards, how can he play? Also, on top of that being blue type advantage, he's not gonna get broken down very easily. Ultra Trunks pairs very well with Rose, but he's off the boost, so I wouldn't push him as much. And down here we're gonna have like people downscaling. I might even do this as well, you know. Janemba is also another powerful opponent pick, but I think with powerful opponent we already have so many options. So we have Rose, Broly, Nap, and Vegeta, Fusion 13, and now Janemba. The powerful opponents are amazing right away. Janemba is that additional buff cancellation, 2 ultimates. He can get his vanish back. He tanks as well. His element's good. The only person he has to worry about is Gogeta, but he does good defensively. And then obviously Buhan as well. With the way Broly plays, people are just standing there. You can double up on that with Buhan. Gohan could make the list, but he's not making my list. I used him, and offensively he's still that. If you put buffs into him, he can be defensively okay, but he's still falling off. His team just sucks, which is why he cannot make this team. Like, he cannot make this list. He cannot pair with anybody here besides Trunks, and that team isn't great because Trunks isn't great. He's getting carried by Rose in most cases. There's no other like straight up Son family member or hybrid Saiyan that's helping Gohan, and the rest of these are like secondary picks, which I don't think are as good as the guys in the top 10. That's 10 minutes of straight speaking, but I think it really brings the conversation to life about how I view this. But I'm gonna give you now a tier list of me being very opinionated about my experience. But for this tier list, I tried to take in everybody's experience, and my chat of 300 plus people literally were vouching for this based on everybody seeing that, oh damn, I didn't expect, you know, the Bardock guys to be okay. I didn't expect the Rose guys to be okay. I didn't expect the Broly guys and everybody's like, damn, you know, when you see somebody else with a different opinion, you can't just shut it down based on your own opinion, because their opinion is also valid based on them playing the game. But hey, I'm open to people disagreeing. Let's get into the second tier list if I was forced on my personal experience. Right, so if you put a gun to the back of my head and said make a tier list where there's an absolute number one, I would have to go with Gogeta. On the first day and the second day, I think everybody was leaning towards Broly, and I don't think that's ridiculous in any way, shape or form if you have Broly at your number one, as I showed with the previous tier list. But I went with Broly initially because there was a lack of understanding for how to get around him for a lot of people. A lot of people were definitely threatened by the idea that, oh, everyone's just standing still, passive, but then people started to realize, oh, even Vegeta is still really good, and if you just aggress him early, you can get him out, on top of the fact that you can just force him to transform and then fight him in his final state, and then you avoid all the, you know, the gimmicks that you have to deal with by standing still and the floating. They're treating him like UI, the Dragon Ball Legends player base. It's kind of annoying. But with Gogeta, I find he really sets the pace of the battlefield, and it's because of his active gauge. I've seen people complaining that his active gauge doesn't nullify endurance. If it did, he would be a non-negotiable number one, but I think him not nullifying endurance with his active gauge makes him just about number one. So as time has gone on, I find that he really sets the pace and dictates where the battle's gonna go if people are using him because of his active gauge. Now, why do I say that? It's because you don't know when it's gonna go off. If he takes out one of your endurance, if he takes out one of your units early, so something that happens to me a lot, right? Or it happens when I'm using Gogeta. I use him with Vegeta a lot. What I tend to do is aggress Broly straight away with Super Vegito, and if I get into a fortunate scenario, which has happened more time than not actually for me, I'm able to take out Broly's endurance very early, right? I might do a blue card through the blast, I might do 2 cards, it does more damage than expected, and then I do the legend action and it does a lot of damage and take out the endurance. That means Gogeta is free to active gauge to kill him. With that in mind, nobody wants to play safe, because if Broly's on the field and I just switch into Gogeta, he activates, it's done. It's done. And I think with that idea in mind, until his active gauge goes on, everybody's in a constant state of, oh my god, when is it gonna go off? I need to be considering this, and if I'm not considering this, I cannot play the way I want to play. Naturally, he is a big threat. Now, depending on your playstyle, I could easily see why people take Broly again, but I think Broly is somebody that is defensively great, but he's not going to be the reason you win the game. He'll be more the reason you don't lose. Similar to how Bardock was in the first meta he released. His indestructible is annoying to break through, sure, but he's not doing the most damage because he didn't have a strong team. Broly obviously has a strong team, but if you're choosing him as an offensive option, you're simply using him wrong and not optimizing him for his actual traits. And because of that, he's more of a guy that's going to stall out the game and keep you alive to win, but it's to the degree where you need more opportunities to play, so having him, he's also almost indispensable on most teams. Vegito is the direct counter to that, and he pairs probably the best with Gogeta being a fusion warrior. They work so well together. Let me also add that he just protects him because purple is over green. Sorry, Gogeta protects Super Vegito because red is over yellow, which is over purple. Do you see what I'm saying? So then you get the next set of characters here, we've got Rose and Bardock. They kind of do a similar role depending on the direction you want to take again. So we've got a more defensive pick and then a more offensive pick. Do you see what I'm saying? It kind of leans in that way. So then you'd end up getting the rest of the pairs that pretty much end up the same way just in my initial tier list. But this is more my experience based on choice of playstyle and what I would like to optimize if I wanted to play my way and be more offensively great on the battlefield. Because I feel like if I'm threatening my enemy, I have a higher chance of winning versus playing passive. If I just sit back, even though I'll be unkillable and it does give me more chances to play in the future, I'd rather just guarantee the damage off rip with Gogeta and Vegito and then pick my third accordingly. So if I had to change up things from the previous tier list, this is what it looked like. The rest pretty much stays the same, but these guys up top, I would have it in this kind of order to clean up the tier list, you know. So cool. Gogeta 1, Broly 2, Vegito 3, Bardock 4, Rose 5, Vegeta 6, Fusion 13 7, Trunks 8, Janemba 9, and Buhan 10. Here are my honorable mentions, and you'll probably be wondering what's the fan service. They're just characters that wouldn't get screen time otherwise, you know. These guys aren't relevant yet, so fan service is to just give some people some props. Maybe it's a unit you like. They just made the tier list for no reason. But that's my tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Both tier lists are valid. This is if I had a gun to the back of my head, but this is not going to sync up with everyone's playstyle, which is why I think it's not as valid. You know, if you're more of a passive player, you'd probably take a Broly that way and you play the back seat and just win the game through being annoying. But it works. I can't hate on it, but it's not what I see when I'm playing with all of these characters, and I have all of these characters in the top 5, by the way. But yeah, man, that's going to be the end of this video. Those are my tier lists. The first one I think is more representative of what the actual case of the meta right now is, what PvP is showing consistently, and the second one is more my personal experience, what I would use and how I would see it specifically. But only my opinion isn't the only valid opinions, you know what I'm saying? So I can't run the second tier list as the overall truth when I really don't believe it is that case. But that's what gets me through, and that's what I'm considering when I step into the battlefield. Gogeta's active gauge, then how to deal with Broly, and then the counters towards that. And if I wanted to play a different playstyle, I'd go the more passive route, which is why, even though I actually very much so respect Bardock, I have him on the lower end or my personal one, but in general I think he can just perform at the same level as those guys above, and it's just a choice on whether you want to or not. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name's Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.